Good afternoon, St. Monica. Good afternoon. Oh, we can do better than that. Good afternoon, St. Monica. Good afternoon. It feels good to be back home at the church that raised me. Let me start by thanking the ladies auxiliary members of Court 151 for inviting me to serve as this year's Hats Off Luncheon speaker. Believe it or not, when I was a kid, I used to dream about this very moment of serving as the guest speaker in this hall. I would watch and listen to folks like former Mayor Sylvester Turner and the late Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee and community activist Deloitte Parker speak at this podium during the annual MLK Junior Day breakfast or the junior recognition banquets that we would have every November. And I would wonder, what will it take for me to get that opportunity? And now, look at God. Before I get into this afternoon's message, I must pause to recognize my fiance who's working so diligently, Miss Kiara Perkins. My future mother-in-law, Lady Regina Perkins, who's in the back. My little sister, Janelle Deshae Taylor, who grew up here at St. Monica. Some aunts, I have some cousins, a godmother, Lottie, Dottie, and everybody here. And yes, the one person who is missing. And you know she hates missing anything dealing with her children. My mother, Lady Janice Taylor, who is absent due to a work conference but is here in spirit. But now that I've got all that out the way, let's get into it. In preparation for today's assignment, I asked Lady Norma Woodson, what is the theme? And she responded to me simply, service. I thought to myself, that shouldn't be too difficult. So after contemplating the theme of service for a little while, I decided to put a Desmond spin on it. Is that all right? Yes. So for the next few minutes, let's explore the thought, serving with purpose. My professor of advanced public speaking at Howard University always said a good speech has three main parts. So with that, I'm going to do what Dr. Blackman advised and raise 3 points for your hearing, and then I'm going to take my seat. Serving with purpose. It was on June 28, 2000. Here in Houston. I was 6 years old and seated on the front row at Paradise North Funeral Home at my father's burial. As the ceremony concluded, the funeral director stood in front of all those gathered and she asked a question, and it still rings clear in my hearing today. She asked, who here will step up to help this grieving mother raise and mentor these young children? As I stated in my introduction, I was 6 and my sister was two years old at the time. Why do I remember that moment so vividly? I really have no idea. But maybe for the simple fact that from my perspective, it was a call to action among family and friends to assist my mother in raising her 2 very young children. No, not because she was incapable of doing so, but because there was a will, a mission, or arguably a responsibility by her family, her community, and church to help pour into her children time and resources that would ultimately ensure a positive trajectory in our lives. Simply put, in point number 1, building a familial foundation. Someone say foundation. Foundation. As Christians, as well as African Americans, we have always honored the family. And over the years, the definition of family has changed. This can include the traditional structure of parents, children, grandparents, aunts, uncles, in-laws, cousins, but it has expanded to our church family, our Claver family, our work family, our fraternity brothers, our sorority sisters, and so many others in our extended networks. But what intrigues me most about the familial foundation, Deacon Lane, is no matter what group you fall under, we all need one another to get through this thing called life. Amen. Our human experience is built on the idea that we need one another for emotional, for social, spiritual, and practical support. But more importantly, our interconnectivity and reliance on one another proves why each of us are called to service. Every one of us are beneficiaries, right, of someone's helping hand, some mother or grandmother's late night prayer, or simply being hooked up by a neighbor, family, friend. See, I get it. You may be consumed by society's meaning of service and limited to acts of kindness or helping those who can't help themselves. But I want to challenge your thinking this afternoon to understanding that service is indeed those things that I just mentioned, but it is also a commitment to fostering connection, improving lives, in promoting value through selfless actions and thoughtful contributions. When I think about my personal trajectory, I'm reminded of persons like Brother Clarence DeVille, who would always stop me at the door when I was a young man before walking to the sanctuary. And he would ask me one question: "Young Taylor, did you check yourself in the mirror this morning?" Lady Nan Arsenault, who told me always have a speech on your heart, so that no matter when or where you're called, you're prepared. I think about the months and even years following my father's death. Mrs. Marilyn and Cliff Adams would rotate picking my sister and I up from school and even having to include us in their dinner count in addition to their own children until mom got off of work. I think about Brother James Neal, who spent countless hours on the phone and in person with me, ensuring that I learned the rules and protocols of KPC during my many leadership posts. Or Johnny and Deborah Jones, who were close family and friends and as well as neighbors, who would also pick us up from school when mom had to work late or was traveling. I think about Miss Jean Slack and Pat Adams, who allowed me to share my gift of music by leading the youth choir. Lady Gwen Andrews, who continues to be like a second mother to my sister and me. I think about Brother Gerald Adams, the disciplinarian, right? The one who made sure as junior ninth we were always on our best behavior and represented ourselves in St. Monica well. And there are so many others. You see, this is just a short list of parishioners here at St. Monica who were thoughtful enough and intentional, ensuring that I had the tools and knowledge to be impactful and live life with purpose. Life is lived forward, but understood backwards. So thank you to every person that poured into me. Like the Apostle Paul, when writing to the church in Philippi, as recorded in Philippians 1:3, he said, "I thank my God every time I remember you." When we serve in ways that reflect who we are and what we believe in, our efforts become more meaningful. We begin to cultivate a mindset of gratitude, recognizing the blessings in our lives, fuel our passion for service, and remind us why it matters. This is what I believe St. Monica is building a familiar foundation. Which leads me to point number 2, becoming a fostering fellowship. Someone shout fellowship. Fellowship. If we're going to serve with purpose, we must build a familiar foundation, but also become a fostering fellowship. Now, I'll be very honest with you all. This is most definitely intended to be an uplifting message. However, in order for us to begin serving with purpose, I must call out a few behaviors that I see as deterrents for us to truly become that fostering fellowship. I won't belabor the point, but we can't get better if we don't challenge the status quo, right? I need you to talk back to me, family. First, we've got to remove individualism and promote collectivism. Second, we've got to stop resisting change, rather embrace innovation and growth. Third and finally, we've got to end limiting people, particularly young people, based on our fears or our controls. If I had more time, I would unpack each of those for you, especially that last one, but you get where I'm going. The great activist and author James Baldwin once said, "Children have never been very good at listening to their elders, but they have never failed to imitate them." So be careful how you carry yourself or treat others in the sight of youth. As my mother would say, someone is always watching. Our fellowship among one another requires all of us to support and uplift one another, to extend our gifts to become a more resilient and purposeful community. 1 Peter 4:10 says, "As each one has received a special gift, employ it in serving one another as good stewards of the manifold grace of God." See, I don't know about you all, but I seek to be a beneficiary of God's manifold grace. And maybe some of you don't get as excited as I do when I think about God's grace. It may be because you struggle to understand simply what grace is. Grace is God's unmerited favor. Favor you can't pay for, favor you don't deserve, favor that isn't owed to you. It comes new every morning you wake up. So thank God for his grace. Before I introduce point number 3 and take my seat, I must remind you, St. Monica, of who you really are. Not just Council in Court 151, but the entire church community. St. Monica is a pillar in the Acres Home community. I told you because of many of you, I have found myself in rooms with mayors and congressmen and women, community leaders, business leaders, both small and large, and they mention St. Monica by name. Amen. St. Monica, you are the center of innovation. You are the molder of young minds and the breeder of leaders. St. Monica, a place where prominent figures and elected officials make their presence known, and some even jumpstart their political careers right here on these grounds. Persons I think about are former council member Amanda K. Edwards. I think about Judge Lori Chambers Gray and soon-to-be Judge Stacey Allen Barrow. This is a place of influence, of fellowship, a chosen and favored people, a church, a community, a beacon of hope for marginalized people who find themselves lining up daily on these grounds to get food and clothing from the St. Vincent de Paul Food Pantry. St. Monica, you are the fostering fellowship I've been speaking about. Please don't let this message be all for naught. Know and understand who you are, and as a fellowship, who you have been called to be. A professor in my graduate program at U of H, she once said it like this: termites, as small as they are, when working together, can tear down a house. Ants, as tiny and yes, annoying as they sometimes can be, are known as social insects that play a vital role in turning and aerating the soil, allowing water and oxygen to reach a plant's roots. Bees, they work together to create hives and produce honey. Albert Einstein once said, if the bee disappeared, then man would have only 4 years of life left. No more bees, no more pollination, no more plants, no more animals, no more man. Simply put, without the bees, the world would be no more. What are you trying to say, Desmond? Well, I'm glad you asked the question. If termites, ants, and bees, as small or agitating as they may be, understand and live out their purpose daily, what is there to say about the humans? Right. We are called to do something for the uplifting and empowerment of our communities. We have a purpose and a role to play. So agitators, keep agitating till things get better. Servers, keep serving until lives are transformed. Leaders, keep leading till visions become reality. But together, we must all do something. My final point, if we plan on serving with purpose, 1, we must commit to building a familial foundation. 2, becoming a fostering fellowship. And lastly, believing in a fruitful future. Someone shout, fruitful future. Fruitful future. When we serve with intention, we not only improve the lives of those around us, but also enrich our own. Think about the last time you helped someone, whether it was lending a hand to a colleague, volunteering in your community, or simply being there for a friend in need. That feeling of connection, of making a difference, is what inspires us to keep going. As I go to my seat, knights, ladies, juniors, friends, family, I want to encourage you to keep serving. When it gets hard, keep serving. When you're tired, keep serving. When you become discouraged, keep serving. When you're anxious, keep serving. When you're simply over it, just keep serving. When haters talk about you, keep serving. When you're ready to quit, keep serving. When you feel too old, keep serving. If you feel too young, keep serving. If you're the only one, keep serving. All I'm trying to tell you, St. Monica, is keep serving. You don't have to play small anymore. This is your season to produce. You don't have to cave into people's insecurities any longer. This is your season to go new heights. Hear me, young man. Hear me, young woman. I tell you, you no longer have to stay in your place or wait your turn. This is your season to step up, step out, and serve. That's not just for the young people, but for that person who's been strapped, or even stuck in the same place for a long time. Your best days are ahead and far greater than the ones behind you. He has plans for us, St. Monica, plans to prosper us, plans to give us hope and a future. Let us remember that serving is not just about the act itself. It's about the intention behind it. Each of us has the power to uplift, inspire, and create change. As we move forward, let's commit to serving our communities with purpose, serving our workplaces, our families, our noble order, our ministries, and our lives for the better. So to God be the glory for the great things he has done, is doing, and will do in each of our lives when we commit to serving with purpose. Thank you, and God bless you.
Okay. He brought down the house, did he not? Brother Taylor, just a token of our thanks and appreciation for that rousing address. Thank you.